neither one of them can actually listen to one another because they don't like each other. And, you know, it's way more fun to just be outraged. It's way harder and less fun to be charitable and to actually listen. They're both obnoxious, is what I'm saying. So I've been asked by a lot of you to respond to the That Vegan Teacher, tommyinnit, iNabber, D'Angelo Wallace. I think there are a bunch of other people who have commented on it as well. I think mostly because I made a video about That Vegan Teacher a little while ago, just looking at clips that people had sent me of hers that were supposed to be like really horrible. And I like largely was pretty supportive of what she said. I think I called the video like defending That Vegan Teacher. I thought she was like a little bit cringy, but that was like pretty much it. So anyway, I started by asking people for like source material, if people knew of, you know, the actual TikToks, That Vegan Teacher, Miss Katie, I think is her name, her TikToks and tommyinnit's TikToks. I got a lot of responses, but none were actually helpful, but I get it. It's like really hard to search TikTok. What people did instead is recommend some YouTubers responding to the situation. So I watched a couple of those, and that's what I'm going to be responding to in this video. And then in the second video, I will focus more on actual problems, what I see as the actual problems with That Vegan Teacher and her advocacy. Editing the video, realizing it's a lot longer than I thought, so this is going to be just a response to iNabber, and then part 2 will be my response to D'Angelo Wallace, and then part 3 will be talking more about the problems with That Vegan Teacher and her advocacy. Before I get to the responses, I'm just going to summarize the tommyinnit stuff. So for people who don't know, well, now you'll know. There isn't that much to say. Basically, one of her followers told her about tommyinnit. He's a Minecraft gamer, and said that like he hates vegans or hates vegetarians or something. So they said that she should do like a video on him. And so she replied to a little TikTok or something that he made that got a lot of views because, you know, her reply would get a lot of views. Talk about veganism whenever and wherever. And if that means responding to like random Minecraft gamers and bringing up veganism, then like that's what she's gonna do. That's her thing. Here are the videos specifically. The first one, he said he was in college and surrounded by girls. He says like he's shy or scared or whatever because there are girls everywhere. And then in her little response, her TikTok response, she says that Miss Tofu, who is one of her characters, could help him find a nice vegan girl. tommyinnit is 16, so pretty creepy, you know, a 50-something-year-old woman saying that to a 16-year-old. She says she thought he was over 18 because she's Canadian, he's in the UK, and apparently college is high school, and she didn't know that. I didn't know that either, so seems plausible, although looking at him, he looks like a baby. He looks very, very young. So again, just don't do that. It's not illegal, it's not immoral, it's not a big deal, it's just really weird and really creepy. And many of the responses she got, not really creepy, but pretty weird, saying that she shouldn't respond to people under 18. Apparently anyone under age can say whatever they want publicly, and like you're not allowed to respond to it. That's kind of weird. That she's stalking him, that was a common thing. Even one of the videos that was like the clickbait headline. I don't see how making like a couple few second videos just to insert veganism, I don't see how that's stalking. They're publicly posted videos, you know. That she's forcing people to go vegan by telling them to go vegan because she's magic, I guess. Then the other movie she made is
Hello TikTok, I'm out in the dark.
You don't have to be in the dark anymore, Tommy. Just Google watchdominion.com and you will see the light.
I'm not very strong.
Of course you're strong, Tommy. If I'm brave enough to watch earthlings.com and then to become vegan, so are you.
Like mildly cringy, weird stuff. This is her brand. It's not like he made an argument and she took him out of context to say he said something else. It's literally just supposed to be a little joke. Like it's not mean or crude or rude or anything. It's just supposed to be kind of funny so that she can expose more people to veganism. She believes anytime that she can talk about veganism is a good time to talk about veganism. There's a video of her talking about the response she got, which is ultimately her like being a little cringy, a little bit doom and gloom.
What the fuck is the matter with you guys? You're losing your minds. I saw some of the duets that you guys did to that little 15-second video I did for him. Some of you are crying. Some of you are punching the camera, going fucking crazy. If that's gonna make you cry, God help the next generation.
Because she's getting a glimpse into, like, little kid gamer culture, which can, you know, can traumatize anyone if you're not if you're not familiar with it. And then the response just kind of exploded from there with a bunch more kids and some adults as well, like freaking out, mostly because she says eating meat is wrong and that makes people uncomfortable. Let's be real. Taking a bunch of her clips out of context. It reminds me a lot of Anita Sarkeesian when she was like maybe like leaning on objectification of women as like a plot device in video games. Like maybe that's not cool. And a lot of gamers like freaked out and took her out of context and made it like this big thing. Agree with it or not, it's all very silly and it's not even worth the like 2 minutes I just spent talking about it. Okay, so let's get on to the responses. I'll start with iNabber. This is a response to that vegan teacher who was responding to him, to his original video on her. His original video was absolute clickbait, the title. I'm sure he would say it's just a joke, but it's really not funny to joke about something like that. That's kind of serious. Maybe don't do that.
First thing he says, I was vegan once, but I ate chicken nuggets. That's why he became non-vegan, because he ate chicken nuggets. You are not vegan if you go back to eating animals. You were just doing some weird fad diet. You totally did not get it. Being vegan is about the animals. It's an ethical baseline. There are moral principles involved. It's not about you losing weight. It's not about you at all.
So I was prepared to be on his side with this. You cannot say someone was not vegan just because they stopped being vegan. Most people stop being vegan, by the way. So are you really going to say that every person who stops being vegan wasn't really vegan? There are people who deeply cared about animals and then they just become jaded for whatever reason. Maybe that's what happened to him. Maybe he was having a hard time and just said, fuck it, I'm just going to have chicken nuggets. You know, it's incredibly common. Then I watched his response.
I was a vegan. I chose not to consume animal products and wear animal products and use animal-based products like, I don't know, shampoo. I chose not to do that. But then I thought to myself, I really like chicken nuggies and I'm locked inside my flat for a year. I feel like I'm just going to order some comfort food because I just wanted some chicken nuggies, man. And I feel like that's perfectly fine if I wanted to do that. And it's perfectly fine if you want to do that. And it's perfectly fine if anyone wants to do that. If you want to be vegan, if you want to be a meat eater, that is completely your choice.
The point of veganism is that it is immoral to eat animal products when alternatives are available. The fact that he just says, seemingly with no cognitive dissonance, no remorse, and like it's just an obvious fact that eating meat is perfectly fine, that you can be vegan, you can eat meat, it doesn't matter, it's just a dietary choice, suggests to me that he was never really vegan. He was never vegan for ethical reasons.
I'm just concerned about this TikTok account. I just don't understand. What's the point of it? If people want to eat corn chicken nuggets, let them do it. But if they don't, who cares?
Usually someone who was vegan is not going to say that it's just a choice and not have any excuse, any reason. You know, I can't even think of one example where I've talked about an ex-vegan who didn't have some sort of reason for why they stopped being vegan, usually something health related. Again, the lack of like cognitive dissonance or the lack of feeling the need to make an excuse suggests that he doesn't really understand what veganism is. If vegan were just a diet, then none of this would matter. It would just be a dietary choice, as he says. But it's not. It's an ethical choice. It has a goal of ultimately reducing suffering. I'm not saying this to denigrate him or to gatekeep or anything to keep out people or pretend that, I mean, you guys know, you've seen my responses. I usually hate that fake vegan shit, but to me, it really seems like he just does not understand the point of veganism. And yeah, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
But I do just have to ask you, that vegan teacher, can you stop pretending that you are better than absolutely everybody on this planet?
It's a funny thing people do when they feel judged, when they feel insecure, when they feel like guilty or like they're supposed to feel guilty. Almost every single time, every single response I've seen like this, they do this like, oh, they think they're morally superior. They think they're better than everyone else. Anybody can criticize immoral behavior of others. It doesn't matter how perfect or imperfect they are. Everyone is imperfect. Doing so is not a claim to be perfect or to be superior. Even meat eaters can criticize meat eating. Some of them do. I think the assumption that she thinks she's better than everyone else says maybe a lot more about him than it does about her.
If a 16-year-old called tommyinnit was taking 42 on the internet, wants to eat chicken nuggies, allow them to. If tommyinnit wants to mock vegans, allow him to.
How is she not allowing him? Is she like his mommy, like locking him in his room? And what? What people are really saying when they make this sort of argument is that she shouldn't be allowed. She shouldn't be allowed to criticize people for eating meat or for making fun of vegans. She says some things, a lot of things I don't agree with. Again, I'll focus more on that in the next video, but she's allowed to say them. And she's not forcing anybody to do anything. She's literally speaking.
And also, to say it's not about you is also very concerning.
It's not about you at all.
Again, it's clear he isn't familiar with the moral basis for veganism. She is talking about morality, which is inherently other-directed. It is literally not about you. That doesn't mean it is wrong to do things that are just about you. Doesn't mean that it's right to do them either. What is wrong or right, immoral or moral, is how you harm or benefit others, humans and non-human animals.
It's not about you at all.
Throughout this whole video, I seem to get this vibe that she is actually prioritizing pigs and cows and chickens over herself, over humanity.
He may feel that way, but at no point did she say anything like that. I'm sure he'd be playing the clip over and over and over again if she had. I think this is another response from insecurity. It's an easy way to ignore or to denigrate someone who's making an argument you don't like, you know, like, oh, you think you're better than us. You love animals more than you love people. Why should we listen to you? You're obviously crazy.
And I might sound crazy and evil when I say this, but I feel like I am more important than McDonald's chicken nuggets.
It's not that iNabber isn't more important than chicken nuggets. It's that the pleasure he gets from eating chicken nuggets is not more important than the suffering that living, breathing, sentient beings experience to produce those chicken nuggets. By eating meat, he's saying very clearly with his actions that his desire for comfort food, as he calls it, is more important than these animal lives and their well-being. And it's worth all of the suffering.
Let's all go to the comment section and unite here. Vegans, vegetarians, meat eaters, let's all unite over corn chicken nuggets and normal chicken, not normal, meat-based chicken nuggets. Go to the comment section and just type, I love nuggies, chicken nuggies, anything like that, because I want to see some support. I want to get 5,000 comments on this video, and I just want to prove to this woman that her beliefs only damage veganism.
How would this prove anything? What? Is this like a science-based survey of all the changing opinions of all the people who have watched That Vegan Teacher's videos? Like, what? Is it just a way to get engagement? I think that's what it is. Why did y'all tell me to watch this video?
I'm all about talking about the animals every single moment that I can. That's my job in life. Because I was a complete asshole. I ate animals for a long time.
You calling everybody assholes because, you know, they like to eat chicken nuggets and just meat in general and animal-based products?
How does that follow from anything she said? She said she was an asshole, speaking of and for herself. She knew her own situation. She knew her own rationalizations by her assessment, and I would assume she knows herself pretty well. She was being an asshole. I don't know, maybe we should be kind of hard on ourselves sometimes, especially when it involves, you know, other people, other sentient beings suffering. I believe that she sincerely feels bad for her contribution to animal suffering. She's been vegan, I think, for a few years, but again, she's in her 50s, so that's a long time having contributed to that, having eaten animals, avoiding or even actively ignoring arguments against it. But yeah, maybe she should consider like not saying that out loud, not telling people that she thinks she was an asshole when she ate animal products, because people are going to take that to mean, well, I eat animal products, so I must be an asshole too. Maybe it's not a good starting point.
That is not going to help your cause. That is only going to damage veganism. And it's amazing how much she actually damages veganism in this entire video.
I've criticized fellow vegans a lot over the years for what I've suspected was ineffective, bad vegan advocacy. Remember the direct action everywhere, like dog meat video? That sort of stuff. I still mostly think this based on human psychology, sort of like foot in the door concepts, and even some studies like directly on veganism and vegan outreach. But I would never say for certain that someone is damaging veganism or the vegan movement because of their demeanor or whatever. No one can possibly know that. A lot of her stuff is weird and obnoxious to me personally, but that's not evidence. I mean, it could be that a lot of the people who like hate her we're never going to go vegan in the first place. In all honesty, I'm less concerned than I used to be about bad advocacy, because I think the most important thing is plant-based alternatives, clean meat. I think veganism is growing so fast mostly because the market is growing so fast. Once delicious, similar in taste and texture alternatives are readily available and affordable, it won't matter how many obnoxious vegans there are anymore, because people won't have reasons to make excuses, right? They won't feel the need to look for reasons why they don't have to give up meat. Oh, that vegan teacher is obnoxious and turned me off to vegan, so I guess that's the argument.
It's a little bit weird to go, hey, wanna join my vegan cult where we can get you a nice old vegan girl? To a 16-year-old is a little bit strange, because I feel like it is like Midsummer. Like, that is all I'm saying. It is just a little bit odd. You can do it, but I'm going to laugh at you.
Wait, so now she's allowed to say things on the internet? It's just weird. It's like he wants to engage in the moral outrage and condemnation of her and like saying she's forcing people, but at the same time, he's compelled to be like more whatever, who cares, do whatever you want, maybe to make sure he's not like forcing her. It's very weird. Like, you have to be a nihilist with no opinions of others' actions, or you're forcing them. If you're critical of them, you're forcing them. But also maybe not, do whatever you want. I don't care, JK lol. What am I supposed to take from this video?
Just relax. Maybe also order some chicken nuggies if you really want to. It might chill you out.
Says the guy who claims in this very video that vegan jokes are boring.
I personally don't even enjoy vegan jokes that much. I feel like they're very easy targets. I feel like they're very easy to make jokes about, and it just gets a little bit boring.
Okay.
But ironically enough, she actually has the balls to call somebody else crazy.
Another teacher called Miss Tofu. Okay, that meat teacher, Miss Tofu, that's another account. And she's a bit crazy, that woman. You know, she smokes carrots and dips them into hummus.
Allow me to do one thing which I don't usually do, and that is be straight for 1 second. You're saying she gets carrot sticks, dips them into hummus, and then smokes them.
Miss Tofu is just one of her other accounts. It's a character she does. She's making a joke.
But it just gets weirder and weirder, because I guess she starts to imagine that tommyinnit is actually her student.
Besides, he's going to college, and to me, college is you're 18. Okay, I didn't know that this guy was 16. Even still, I'm a teacher. What are you going to tell me? Not to talk to my students? If you go into a classroom and you're surrounded by 6-year-olds, you're going to talk to them.
I don't think she's saying tommyinnit is her student. I think she's just saying adults are obviously allowed to speak to children. Her example being her as a teacher, she's a teacher talking to her students.
Why are you debating 14-year-olds on the internet? I'm debating anybody. If you're old enough to be on the internet, hopefully your parents are watching what you're doing. They don't want their kid to talk to me? Ban your kid. Ban my account. Don't talk to me. If your kid is there telling me, oh, vegans suck, I'm gonna say something back to that kid.
Say, vegan teacher, this is literally what I'm saying. This is what I find funny. You can't even allow a 14-year-old to go on the internet. You know, oh, I'm going on Twitter, I'm going on RuneScape, I'm having a lot of fun, I'm playing Habbo Hotel, and then boom, super vegan saying, you're evil, you're a soulless little murderer.
Again, with this, like, allow, people are coming to her channel and leaving comments. I think she's allowed to respond to those comments. And even if not, she's allowed to post comments elsewhere as well. Like, anything that's posted publicly, you're allowed to reply to it. Like, these aren't tiny babies. We're not talking about 5-year-olds. We're talking about like preteens and teenagers. I think they're old enough to understand veganism and vegan ethics. It's pretty simple. And I think they're old enough to understand that, hey, it's really not okay to call people stupid or to say that you hate vegetarians, even if you're just joking. Like, it's really shitty. Maybe instead of having this attitude of, oh, they're children, so if they're mean and horrible on the internet, who cares? They're just children. I think maybe we should be explaining to kids that, like, hey, just because you're a kid doesn't mean you can't hurt other people's feelings. How would you like it if you had a huge platform and thousands of people were coming to you and calling you names and saying you're horrible and making fun of your lifestyle? Now, do I have a problem with promoting some of the stuff she promotes to children? I do, but that's like a whole different thing. I will save that for the next video.
Number 6, you are a bit weird. You know what? You know what's weird? Paying people to kill animals. You know what's weird? A grown man saying he was vegan, and now he isn't. That's weird. You know how much it hurts the animals, and you don't give a fuck? Your taste buds are more important?
Yes. Yes, they are.
I'm trying to imagine how future people will look back on stuff like this. You have a woman getting so much hate for essentially saying, hey, eating animals is wrong, animal cruelty is wrong, and being, weird and cringy and sometimes insensitive when she does it, versus a guy saying that his taste buds are more important than animal suffering and animal lives, being rewarded for it, getting tons of views and attention and being seen as like the hero, right? The good one for basically telling people what they want to hear. Yeah, I mean, it's depressing for now. Things are going to change, but for now it's kind of depressing. The internet is forever. That's all I have to say about that.
Did you watch Dominion.com? Did you watch Earthlings.com?
No. No, I didn't. Because it's very funny and entertaining watching you get this upset about it.
Of course he didn't watch it. That's not surprising. And of course his response, he likes seeing your Okay. That sounds like liberal tears shit. Like, come on, man, you're better than that. But other people apparently did, and other people who aren't afraid to admit empathy for animals apparently did. And at least some percentage of those people are probably trying to go vegetarian or even vegan. There is a YouTuber, Noodles. He's very critical of her stuff and the way she does stuff and the tommyinnit, nice vegan girl shit.
Regardless of how you see the situation, if she's just trolling just so she can promote these anti-factory farming movies, then she's doing a pretty good job, because I actually ended up watching one just because of these TikToks. And when I tell you that I am no longer eating meat, I am no longer eating meat.
So yeah, if you're gonna watch a drama channel, go watch that guy. He at least seems to be open-minded and is able to be more mature and look past her unsavory stuff and see her core message, which is awesome. A lot of people apparently cannot do that. So good job, dude. I should have been talking about his video. Why did no one recommend his video? And look at that hair, man. That is some gorgeous hair. Now, that's not proof that she's converting more people than she's turning off. Again, no one knows the answer to that. So maybe you don't say with conviction that she is absolutely damaging the vegan movement.
If you are a vegan and you want to educate people, maybe just wait for somebody to bring it up to you and then start saying it. Or maybe just tweet about it. That's absolutely fine. Make forums about it. That's cool, because then people can go over there and find it. But don't target people who aren't vegans. That's just strange. And I think most vegans agree with that.
Responding to a viral video is a lot different from going around and knocking on people's doors, like cold calling. It doesn't make sense. It's not strategically wise to go around confronting random non-vegans. It's probably going to be pretty ineffective. But responding to something with millions of views and getting millions of views in return spreads the message a lot wider and takes very little effort on her part. And nothing in her original videos was mean. It was just weird. No one likes unsolicited advice, basically, even if it's good advice. It just pisses people off. As iNabber says, and a lot of non-vegans believe this, vegans shouldn't go out and try to educate people. We should just stay in our own little corner of the world. And if people come to us, then that's fine, but we shouldn't go out and talk about veganism to anyone else. It's wrong, I guess. Seems like very effective activism.
I don't know her life experience is, but she's clearly not acknowledging that some people may be in dangerous households. Some people may be in households with a lower income. Some people may just be with strict parents who aren't willing to let their kids go vegan. Now, in your perspective, these kids who aren't allowed to go vegan are still assholes?
Because I was a complete asshole. I ate animals.
Is that what you're saying here? Because based on what you are saying, that is what you are saying.
Based on what she is saying she was an asshole. He is then taking that and applying it to everyone else and focusing on children because that's, more hard hitting, I guess. But that's not what she says. He could have made a really good argument there, hey, I know you're saying yourself, but when you say that, it makes a lot of people think that you're talking about them. maybe don't do that because you're really making people feel bad, and then maybe they're not listening to what you have to say. Maybe you can get your message across and explain that eating animals is very harmful without saying, I was an asshole when I did that. That would have been really good. And I would have just said, well said. Instead, he totally misrepresents her.
I also find it hilarious that she is trying to play it off like she's this moral goddess that doesn't contribute in some way to some form of suffering. I'm sorry, but you have probably contributed to the clothing industry with clothes in the past that have most likely been made in a factory by extremely low paid workers on stupidly long hours, which is probably damaging their mental and physical health.
I don't get that from her at all, that she sees herself as a moral goddess. But I don't need to, I already agree with her main position. So I can watch her stuff without feeling judged, without feeling guilty and feeling the need to point the finger. And from what I've seen of her, she seems pretty liberal. So, she's probably aware of and at least somewhat concerned of those issues as well. But it doesn't matter. It's not an argument. He's saying this based on his assumption that she thinks she's a moral goddess and she shouldn't think that because she's causing harm elsewhere. But this is all just based on his own assumption. Again, why did so many of you recommend this video to me? It's like baby's first anti-vegan argument shit. Ooh, I hope he makes the vegans actually kill more animals argument. I hope he does that next. I'm not saying he's a horrible person or anything. He seems like this is a perfectly average response to veganism. So again, why you would recommend this as a good response?
You have probably negatively contributed to society in the past, and you probably in some way right now are still doing that. Actually, you are, because you are basically bullying people into going vegan.
Bullying has a very specific definition. It's been refined in the anti-bullying movement to serve as a pragmatic tool. It's really important to distinguish normal social behavior from abuse. He is abusing this word for his rhetoric, or weaponizing this word. That vegan teacher is obviously punching up in terms of like social media clout. If anything, it's tommyinnit's followers who are bullying her. They are the ones who have all the power, power in numbers. Unless you think teenagers can't bully middle-aged women, I promise you that's not true. And what is his point exactly? That we shouldn't tell people not to harm others because then they'll feel bad for doing bad things? Of course you can criticize people for doing bad things, for harming others. If they feel bad about it, maybe they'll stop doing it. Maybe they'll even thank you for helping them be better people. If I'm doing something bad, I want to know about it. Obviously, I want a good argument for why that thing is bad, which that vegan teacher doesn't necessarily provide. But again, that'll be in part 2, which is that way, I guess.
Your girlfriend is apparently vegan. I don't know how long you've been seeing her for. Either she is truly a vegan, meaning she cares about the animals, and if that's the case, she's extremely disappointed in you right now. She thinks you're a loser.
She was doing all right up until the loser part. Jesus. If his girlfriend is an ethical vegan and not just, eating vegan for health reasons or whatever, she probably is disappointed on some level. She's probably disappointed with everyone who isn't vegan on some level. I think every vegan is. It's disappointing when people, especially when it's loved ones, continue to support cruelty. It doesn't mean we don't love them. It doesn't mean we don't want to maintain those relationships. It doesn't mean we think they're losers, but it does suck. It is disappointing.
She's not really vegan, because if she thinks it's okay for her boyfriend, who she's gonna kiss, to put his saliva with dead animals into her body, if she thinks it's okay for her boyfriend to pay money into industries to kill baby animals who never did one single thing wrong to them ever, then she's fucked.
And that is why you edit your content. That should have been edited out. That was in such poor taste. How old are you? And the whole animal products in her body thing, that just reeks of vegan health shit. Your body is a temple. Don't desecrate your temple with ew, yucky animal parts. Gross. It's not an argument. It's appeal to disgust. Please don't do that. To be fair, it could also be a more Francione, dogmatic, just humans don't eat animal parts. Consequence, context, doesn't matter. We just don't, period. It could be that whole thing. Yeah, Again, I'll get into that in part 2. The other thing she says about supporting the industry, that makes sense to me. You know, that his girlfriend is not an ethical vegan. If she truly does not care, that she's just, you know, like a dietary vegan for selfish reasons.
Let's assume that she's a true vegan, which means that she's an animal rights activist, not just vegan for her own selfish reasons. That's selfish. That's doing it because you care about yourself.
The whole selfish thing, I really wish she would stop using that word. For most people, including myself, that has a negative connotation. Look up any definition of it, it always has a negative connotation. It always has to do with being excessively concerned with one's own interests, with like no regard for other people or even at the expense of other people. That is bad. Now, having watched more of Miss Katie's stuff, it seems she is using selfish in like the neutral way, just purely doing something for yourself. So like eating food would be selfish. Psychology Today has a good article on this. So yeah, nothing wrong with doing something for yourself, right? We all do that. We all have to do that to live, right? It's neutral. It's neither right nor wrong. It doesn't constitute ethical action because it's not other directed.
Relax, chill. How do you get this angry about people that live about 5,000 miles away from you?
I don't think she's angry about people who live 5,000 miles away. I think she's angry about animals being tortured and killed 5,000 miles away. The distance is irrelevant. Are you saying that you don't care about people being killed 5,000 miles away because they're 5,000 miles away? Probably not.
I've decided to go on a vegetarian diet, and it starts off with roast Kenji. Okay, this is you trying to make a joke, and you're saying you're going on a vegetarian diet. Like, that wasn't, I don't know. That was supposed to be funny, making fun of eating your dog. Do you know how many videos I've seen of people who actually take dogs and put them and shove them into cages in Asian countries? They shove them into cages so tight, just literally take them and shove them in.
Kenji, I think we're going to have to put that Kenji part on hold for now because this woman clearly doesn't understand jokes.
No, she gets the joke.
Okay, this is you trying to make a joke.
She's saying it's in bad taste because it's making light of animal suffering. It's like saying feminists just don't get rape jokes. No, maybe they just don't think it's something you should joke about. I can laugh about virtually anything. I have a pretty dark sense of humor. Everybody says that. But animal cruelty from someone who actively participates in animal cruelty by purchasing things like chicken nuggets and then calling them like cutesy names like chicken nuggies. No, it's not fucking funny. And wasn't that another vegan joke? This guy makes a lot of vegan jokes for someone who claims vegan jokes are boring.
You need to be vegan from now on. Seriously. Fuck your diet, okay? It's not about you. Eat healthy foods and you will be fine. And you will lose weight if you just take a little bit of responsibility.
Why? She just loves shooting herself in the fucking foot. Don't bring up people's weight. Ever. Just don't do it. And credit where credit is due, he does not snap back with any sort of retort, anything to do with her looks or anything, which a lot of people would have done that, honestly. Yeah, so good for him.
And then you said, I will kick your ass if we box each other.
No, I didn't. I did not say that.
Yeah, he did not. It was a very obvious joke. She honestly needs to remove this video, edit that part out. It is not okay to accuse someone of wanting to beat you up when that's obviously not what they did. Maybe she really didn't get the joke. Doesn't matter. She's probably seen this response by now. If not, maybe she's seeing my response. Please, Miss Katie, remove that video. You got onto him for saying you were stalking tommyinnit. This is the same shit, if not worse.
Why would you lie about that? That is such a strange lie to make. I was clearly making a joke about YouTube charity boxing matches. I don't know why you have basically made it out to sound like I'm threatening you, but I guess it's because you're trying to, I guess, misconstrue my arguments or my jokes to your fan base.
Says the guy who didn't realize when she was obviously joking. So was he lying too? Like, seriously, neither one of them can actually listen to one another because they don't like each other. And, you know, it's way more fun to just be outraged. It's way harder and less fun to be charitable and to actually listen. They're both obnoxious, is what I'm saying.
If people want to eat chicken nuggets, let them do it. Who cares? Yeah, that is just the worst thing you could have done. Shame on you for doing that. You know, if you are an influencer and you influence people to pay for cycles of murder.
I love that a lot of influencers actually get exposed for committing serious crimes, but me, I am just the chicken nugget king.
So saying eating meat is fine can actually be worse than saying murdering people is fine. Hear me out. Nobody is going to listen to you in the latter case. When you go over the top evil, most people are going to go, oh no, that's wrong. I'm not going to murder people. They're going to unfollow you. They're going to stop listening to you. So even though in theory, it would be worse if people actually listened to someone saying murdering people is fine versus eating meat is fine, they won't actually listen. The worst thing you could say is the worst thing you could say and have your followers actually listen to it and accept it. That's why I don't worry about like the carnivores on YouTube. Most people are not going to listen to them. Most people are not going to eat only meat. There's a reason these people typically don't have large followings. But iNabber getting hundreds of thousands of views and saying over and over again that eating meat is fine, it's just a choice, that's bad.
Worst possible point in the entire video of where she basically tries to weaponize people taking their own lives.
Vegan phobia is funny. Maybe there's something you think vegan phobia is funny and you think there's something you're missing. I'll tell you what you're missing is that children have committed suicide because of vegan phobia. They are at school, they are vegan, and they are deeply caring human beings, and when they see these dead animals around them and they start crying, or they kids tease them by waving bacon into their faces. Or
as somebody who has been affected by this specific topic in my life, I really find it disgusting that you are trying to weaponize something like this. I really think that is just a vile way of you trying to bolster veganism. And I know for a fact every vegan other than you would agree with me.
I don't agree with you. Vegan children are absolutely bullied. There was a vegan child who ended his life because he was bullied. We shouldn't have to pretend this doesn't exist so you can feel better for making the boring vegan jokes that you supposedly don't make. In the prior video, she's talking about all of the bullying and negative comments in the comment section, and some of her younger and more sensitive followers are being hurt by that. She was asking people to consider their words and consider the consequences of those words and the hurt they're causing. There is a lot of hate for vegans who are just trying to live their conscience, you know? And I mean, there are vegans who silence themselves. There are vegans who don't admit to being vegan or even pretend that it's fine for others to eat meat around them. Ha ha ha, yeah, no problem, don't worry about it, just to avoid confrontation. That sucks. Maybe, just maybe, iNabber is responsible for some small part of this. Maybe something that vegan teacher said actually finally affected him, and we can't have that. How dare her? How dare her for making him feel something? She's weaponizing suicide. Seriously, instead of drumming up outrage over what amounts to just a little PSA, it's just something she said because she's worried about her audience. Instead of doing that, maybe stop and reflect a little bit.
And if there really is a case of people, taking their own lives because of being bullied about being a vegan, that is absolutely horrific. That is disgusting, and I condemn anyone that bullies somebody to that point.
I'm glad he said that, although I hope he's against all bullying, not just bullying that leads to like the worst possible outcome. Most bullying does not lead to that. It's still terrible.
People just make jokes, and that is absolutely fine. I think that's completely fine. I don't really find vegan jokes funny anymore, maybe in the past, but even then, what you are trying to do there, weaponizing such a serious topic, I really think that's disgusting.
Right. It's that vegan teacher who's being disgusting by mentioning the reality of bullying, both online and offline, and being concerned about that. So according to what he said here, the thing that's morally wrong is making people feel moral guilt. Except when you're making people feel moral guilt for making people feel moral guilt, like he does, that's okay. Like, this is his ethical system in a nutshell. Hopefully you can tell why I'm unimpressed. He ends by telling his audience not to send her any hate whatsoever. He says this right after calling her a grifter, a con artist, not sincere. It's one of the worst things you can call someone. But yeah, I'm sure none of the children who watch him will go on to bully her. No way. So that's iNabber. As frustrating as this was, mostly because so many of people who watch me recommended it, so I went into it assuming that it would be at least decent. I don't think he's a bad guy at all. Again, this is a perfectly average response to veganism. It is very common to become defensive, to feel judged, to try and denigrate the other person, to treat veganism as just a diet and kind of plug your ears to any of the moral arguments for it. Where he's not average is in his job. He has a very large platform. It's one thing to eat meat. It's a whole different thing to promote it to young, impressionable people and pretend ethical arguments against it don't exist. I mean, I find it interesting that he doesn't share any of the parts in her video where she actually discusses what happens to animals in animal agriculture, like when she talks about baby male chicks being ground up alive. He doesn't include any of that stuff. You know, so I really hope he just stops and reflects on this. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2, responding to D'Angelo Wallace, will be much shorter than this one, and that should be up in a day or two, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you want. Support the channel. Patreon.com. Why do I have my headphones on? I cannot hear myself. Patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. OnlyFans.com/unnaturalvegan. I think that's the URL. I don't know. But I just talk about whatever there. There's no boobies or anything. I'm sorry. I have an Amazon store page where I have affiliate links to stuff that I like. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching again, and new video very soon.